Thank you for taking the time to view this May 6, 2025 Dexter Community Schools bond proposal presentation. Throughout these slides, I'll go through a narrative of everything that is included in the proposal. So what is on the May 6th ballot? Historically, Dexter Community Schools has conducted a comprehensive facility study on an 8 to 10 year rotating basis. Those studies are conducted where we look at what is an immediate need to replace or repair, what is needing to be repaired in the next 1 to 5 years, the next 5 to 10, and the next 10 and beyond. As a result, we have been able to put together a way to maintain our 1 million square foot of indoor space, our 1 million square foot of parking lots, our 360 contiguous acres of land, and our 600,000 square foot of roofs. As a community school district, we encompass parts of 8 townships and all of the city of Dexter, cutting through several municipalities and into 2 counties. We're 84 square miles and we serve as the community's resource for facilities and for recreation. This bond proposal has 4 key focus areas: age-appropriate academic campuses, infrastructure, safety and security, enhanced student experience, and arts and athletics for students in the community. The proposal has a zero net increase over the current school debt millage. The millage rate would stay the same. If the bond does not pass, the millage rate does still stay the same for several years. This proposal total program cost is $241.8 million. How was this plan developed? In March of 2024, the Dexter Board of Education adopted several goals. The first goal was to maintain a 95% or higher 4-year graduation rate. We are proud to have one of the highest graduation rates in the state at 99%, graduating almost all of our students on time. The second goal was to increase reading and math scores, which we are proud to say we have some of the highest test scores in the state. The next goal was to conduct and implement a 10-year facility study. And then the last goal was to implement a new process for career exploration for all of our students, which we are moving forward at a rapid speed to help our kids. So the facility study was conducted that went through all of our facilities and looked at what is the expected lifespan of all of our physical plant and equipment, on what needed to be replaced immediately, what has a 1 to 5 year lifespan, what has a 5 to 10 year lifespan, and what is 10 and beyond. That study then also coupled what we look at in terms of our instructional program and our other programs that we support for space needs and space requirements. The full analysis was brought to a volunteer committee. We sent out for community volunteers and had about 50 volunteers, 31 members of staff, parents, and community members attended all the meetings, visited the buildings, went through the tunnels, through the boiler rooms, etc. And they analyzed the hundreds of pages of spreadsheets looking at the facilities need. And initially they put together a proposal and a plan that was significantly higher than this one. It was in the 300 million plus range. And we reduced it down to 241 million based on what our bond capacity was and what the needs in the plan made sense to be the most efficient and effective for our community. So that proposal was taken to the Board of Ed in November, and the board voted in January to put it on the May 6th ballot. So why is this on the May 6th ballot? School districts can put a ballot proposal to voters in May, August, or November. We collect taxes in January in the winter tax payments. So if we go with a May election, we're able to sell the bonds and start the projects on a regular cycle as expected by the voters who vote. If we go in August, we can still do that. However, if we go in November, we have to wait another year to start the work. In addition, in May, we have an ability to be able to make sure that we're still in the normal cycle so that voters can be informed of what is on the proposal. In August, unless it's a primary year, it has very low turnout. May turnout historically has been better. And then in November, if there is a large election, which there is not in odd years, then you don't get a great turnout if you don't have some big national election or statewide election. So that's the reason for May. We also are in a position that by putting this proposal forward in May, we can maintain our millage rate and not have an increase in debt millage rates. So again, the four focus areas of the 2025 bond proposal are age-appropriate academic campuses, infrastructure, safety and security, enhanced student experience, and arts and athletics for the students and community. So this proposal and the work of the Bond Steering Committee looked at how to create age-appropriate academic campuses. So we looked at this proposal to be able to improve safety, enhance opportunities for teacher and student collaboration, and get common start times for our young 5th through 6th graders. What the proposal includes is taking Creekside Intermediate, doing a major renovation of the building, and eventually moving 7th and 8th graders over to Creekside, and moving the 5th and 6th graders over to Mill Creek. So we would have all of our pre-K through 6th grade students on one side of Baker Road with the same start and end times, and we'd have all our 7th through 12th graders on the other side of Baker Road with the same start and end times and access to the facilities that they would utilize. So the elementary campus would consist of Bates, Wiley, Mill Creek, and the deck, so Anchor and Beacon. Eventually, the Mill Creek would be home to the 5th and 6th graders after some renovations and movements. At Wiley Elementary, we would conduct and add up to 7 classrooms that are more modern classrooms. On the slides, you can see the possible locations for that addition. Wiley was built in the 1950s and has original 1950s bathrooms that need to be renovated. According to code, we cannot fit the number of toilets necessary for occupancy in the building with the correct turning radiuses to meet the ADA compliance, unless we had extra space, which would then cut into classroom spaces. In addition, the average classroom in all of our buildings other than Wiley is about 1,100 square feet. The Wiley classrooms range anywhere from 550 square feet to about 900 square feet in general. The building was built for a different era, but it's been maintained extremely well. Now that it is 70 plus, almost 80 years old, it's time to do some additions and to do some upgrades to the building. In addition, we look to improve access to the elementary campus with the driveway that is off of Baker Road that used to be an old bus drop to go to Wiley. Currently, we have it barricaded because we have community members that drive through at 40 or 50 miles an hour down that road at times, while we have students out on playgrounds. So what would happen is we would reconfigure that to be able to give parents better access for drop-off and pickup, but also to create a safer driveway. At the secondary campus, we would involve a major renovation of Creekside. Creekside was built in the 1950s and 60s. And it was built as the original high school. What we would look at doing is we've analyzed the needs for that building based on its age and the expected life of the mechanical equipment, the windows, the HVAC, the flooring, the roof, etc. And the building needs about $37 million worth of updates to look exactly like it does now. The committee analyzed that for $45 million, we could actually tear down most of the building and rebuild a two-story middle school with a theater in it for community use. And that would be the most efficient use of taxpayer dollars instead of trying to maintain a 70-plus-year-old building. In addition, we would look at doing some work at Dexter High School to add a secure entrance to the building, a secure lobby to the gym, and then to move our weight room to the front and then open up the weight room space for additional use for student programming. Currently, we have several of our teams that have to practice in other spaces outside of the high school, yet they are high school teams. And it takes away opportunities for community groups to use those spaces. For example, our dance team has to go rent a studio. Our cheer team practices at Wiley. Our wrestling team practices at Creekside, and along with other teams throughout the campus. We do have a space that we've outgrown as the weight room at the high school that we are now working 350 students a day, each day through the weight room from 6:30 in the morning through classes all day until 5 o'clock in the evening. But the room was built for 30 occupants at a time. If we can move the weight room on the front of the gym, then we can open up the weight room for additional instructional use during the day and athletic and community use in the evening. This proposal includes over $180 million of just infrastructure updates. We have analyzed that we have 7,500 doors, we have 600,000 square foot of windows, 1 million square foot of roofs. If you look at the chart, we have infrastructure upgrades to all 12 of our district-owned buildings. When we talk about district-owned buildings, that includes the small restroom buildings at athletic facilities. It also builds upon upgrades accomplished with the 2017 bond, and it addresses all the items identified in the facilities condition assessment from 2025 until 2033 and beyond. Safety and security. We have 7,500 doors in the district and 600,000 square foot of windows. The hardware for those doors needs to be replaced at certain times. Some of the doors are 40 or 50 years old, some are 20 or 30 years old, some are new throughout the district, but we do have upgrades and updates that need to happen. We have a secure entrance plan for Jenkins Early Childhood Center and for Dexter High School to add security to those buildings. We also have technology security upgrades, for example, the PA systems, fire alarm systems, security cameras, which we have almost 600 security cameras in the district that need to be replaced on a regular cycle, and replacement of aging buses and the transportation building upgrades. Buses used to be $65,000 to $70,000 for a bus. Our most recent purchases were upwards of $180,000 per bus. The pricing has increased dramatically, but so has the length of the buses. Because the buses are longer, they no longer fit in our transportation garage to do the maintenance. So we need to extend the garage out several feet so that we can work on the buses indoors in the winter. As a school district, we have long had a vision of champion learning, develop, educate, and inspire. That vision we took, and we asked our community members, our alumni, our staff, and our parents of what knowledge, skills, and attributes do our students need when they graduate to be successful. And they identified 9 key competencies. So in terms of develop, our community identified that our kids need to be able to be collaborative, they need to be creative and critical thinkers, and they need to be able to communicate. In terms of educate, they needed to have content knowledge, information literacy, and financial literacy. And in terms of inspire, they needed to be kind and empathetic, have personal responsibility and resilience, and have initiative. We have been morphing the way we teach to help develop those skills for all of our students so they can be successful as adults. As a result, we have to continue furniture upgrades and breakout areas to provide flexible classrooms and collaborative project-based opportunities. And the proposal includes renovating the spaces to be able to support working on these 9 competencies for our students. These images are examples of renovations for a modern learning space throughout the state. The center one is actually in between the Anchor and Beacon wings of the Dexter Early Elementary Complex. You can see from these spaces the collaboration and how schools have changed with the way we teach. The proposal includes renovations with some of these concepts in mind to fit the needs of our students for modern learning. The proposal includes several updates and improvements and opportunities for arts for our students and our community. With the renovation of Creekside, we would include a 300 to 400 seat auditorium that would be increased access for community groups. For example, community players, the Dexter Community Band, Dexter Community Orchestra, and many of the other events that we fit into our high school CPA, which seats 850, but doesn't need to have every event with 850 people to be able to function. Many of our events really could run in a theater that is 300 to 400 seats. We have historically, through bond proposals, have always purchased musical instruments, for example, drums, tubas, cellos, etc. In 5th and 6th grade, our students choose to do band, orchestra, or choir. We have always asked our parents to enter into agreements to purchase an instrument if their child wants to try one. What has happened over the years is students try an instrument and then they move to the middle school and they either continue or they change instruments, or it becomes a barrier for kids because they can't afford to try the instrument and they're not aware that we do have programs to supply for them. So what we are looking to do with this proposal is to purchase all of the instruments for 5th and 6th grade band and orchestra. We also have included in the proposal replacement of finishes and updates to the storage in theater, music, and art spaces, upgrades to the high school scene shop and the art rooms, and upgrades to the Center for Performing Arts. The facility was opened in 2002, and we've done a great job of maintaining it. However, by the end of this proposal, which goes through 2033, it will need new carpet, it'll need some new curtains, the sound will need to be replaced, the lights, and some of the equipment. With regard to athletics, recreation, and wellness, we need to replace the floors at Creekside's gym and Wiley's gym because they can no longer be sanded and refinished. They are 70-plus-year-old gym floors, and they've served us well. It's time for new floors. We also have included in the proposal to replace aging gym finishes, equipment, the bleachers. For example, the bleachers at the high school are beginning to rust and need to be replaced, and climbing walls at our younger grades. We've included a new high school weight room so that we can open up other space to be able to help with support programming, and we can be able to fit the number of students that have participated in our strength program and strength classes into a weight room. Currently, the equipment is spilling out onto the track. The indoor track, which was installed and opened in 2002, will be 30 years old by the end of this proposal and it's time for it to be replaced, and other equipment. As a reminder, as a school district, we operate the community recreation program for 8 townships and for all the residents of the city of Dexter in our 84 square mile school district that goes into Livingston County and all the way down to Scioto Church Road. In addition, for athletics, recreation, and wellness, Al Ritt Stadium is in need of some repairs. We replaced the visiting bleachers several years ago. The home bleachers need more ADA accessible seating so that fans and parents who are wheelchair bound can watch their children or grandchildren or community members play on a field and not be obstructed by fences and visitors. The turf needs to be replaced on a 10-year cycle and allows us to run games and practices continuously throughout the school year. The lighting at Al Ritt Stadium is original, and the wood post and lights have been there since the 1950s or 60s. They've served us well for the last 70 years, but it is time to replace. The concession stand and locker rooms and bathrooms at Al Ritt do not have any heat, so we have to shut them down in November and cannot open them until after the spring season starts, well into the season, because the toilets freeze and crack. We would like to enter into those buildings with some light heating so we can keep the restrooms open for visitors and not have to rent porta-johns for early season. And then other upgrades to our sports fields and restrooms at field locations throughout the district, and then playground upgrades that include accessible equipment so that all students and all children can access our playgrounds. The Bond Steering Committee also studied the need, in addition to indoor theater space for community and programming, of additional indoor athletic space. So the proposal includes 60,000 square foot of indoor multi-purpose athletic and community space, which would be located most likely at the high school, identified by the purple ovals on where it could fit. We've analyzed the use of our gyms as we run community programming. We have 1,500 middle and high school athletes that utilize our spaces. We had 3,000 plus K-6 students register for at least one activity on one of our fields and one of our gyms. We also utilize the gyms and open them up an indoor athletic space for community groups, including adult basketball leagues, etc. The additional space would be designed by a community committee based on what needs we are looking to meet after a proposal vote in May. If the proposal passes, then a community group will be put together to look at what the space will need to serve and how we can best meet the needs of our students and our community. As just a bit of fact, we analyzed use of our gyms, and the high school gym, which is about 30,000 square feet, to give you an idea of space, is utilized on average 40 hours a week, year-round, in addition to us running school. Additional district-wide initiatives include technology upgrades across all buildings, bus purchases, furniture replacement, upgrades to the Jenkins Early Childhood Center, which would include a secure entry and playgrounds, site enhancements at Wiley, Bates, the access roads coming into Bates, and the Wellness Center, which we now own and have kept open for the community. Infrastructure upgrades to all district support and community use facilities, including the Sirianni building, which houses our alternative education program, the Creekside Storage Building, which is the barn, our only storage we have as a district, Proctor Maintenance House, which is the brick house next to Al Ritt on Shield Road, the Mill Creek Toilet Building, which was built 20 to 30 years ago and just needs some slight renovations, the Dexter Wellness Center, which we were fortunate to receive $10 million in state and federal appropriations to purchase to keep it available to the community, and it is currently home to over 3,000 community members who participate and are members of the facility, and the Dexter Transportation Building. Other updates include the new senior center. It will open soon, and by 2033, we'll need a couple things repaired based on expected life of equipment. I'm now going to take some time to go through details of each school building and each project. As a reminder, the taxpayer impact is that there's an estimated tax impact of a zero net increase over the current debt millage rate. The district has held the same millage rate for bond projects and maintaining our facilities for over 30 to 40 years. Michigan is one of only 12 states in the country that does not provide any funding from the state level to maintain facilities. We are funded solely by state appropriation on a per pupil basis to operate our schools. Bond funds cannot be used for operation and have to be community approved and funded in order to maintain physical facilities. The key dates: absentee voter ballots came out March 27th. The last day for voters to register to vote by mail was April 21st. May 3rd or May 4th, election clerk offices must be open for at least 8 hours to issue and receive absent voter ballots. May 6th is the election day. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. The final day to vote absentee is 8 p.m. on election day. The importance of the 2025 bond proposal. The Board of Ed believes that this program will benefit students in the community in a variety of ways, including offering environments that engage students and support a dynamic, collaborative, and forward-thinking atmosphere. They strengthen the security across all schools, provide enhanced art, music, and athletic and recreation spaces for students and community members, provide improved environmental quality and operational efficiency by upgrading outdated building systems and finishes, and preserving our buildings, which can protect taxpayer-owned facilities and property values. For more information, please visit the district website and click the link that says Bond 2025. Now for details to each building. So for the Dexter Early Elementary Complex, which is Anchor and Beacon, we're looking to renovate and create a more comprehensive front entrance sequence to both improve functionality and identifiability, and selective renovations in the offices to make that sequence work. Reimagining the media center to support program needs, and updating the playground at both building wings for our students, along with maintenance and replacement of windows, etc. Beacon Elementary was opened in 2018 and is relatively new. Anchor was built and opened in 1995, so is in need of some work. We're looking to do safety and security enhancements, updates to the playgrounds and opportunities for outdoor learning, reimagining the media center on the Anchor side, which was designed in 95, and enhancing the front entrance sequence to improve both functionality and identifiability. office renovations that are needed, and infrastructure upgrades to maintain taxpayer-owned facilities. These include roofs, soffits, doors, both interior and exterior, windows, lighting, entry enhancement, marker boards and tack boards, casework, flooring, ceilings, furniture, air handling systems, paging systems, sidewalks, etc. At Wiley Elementary, which currently houses 3rd and 4th graders, we are looking to renovate the media center, which was designed in the 1950s, renovate the restrooms to make them more modern, and they are original from the 1950 building. Create more convenient spaces for intervention, breakout, and small group time, and renovate classrooms so that if you look at this diagram, you can see the varying sizes of classrooms, so they meet the more modern structure of how school is, how we teach in modern schools, and how students are most comfortable learning. In addition, adding a classroom wing of new classrooms that are correct size for today's classrooms and match the rest of the district size of classroom. In total, at Wiley Elementary, we would create an accessible playground and renovate the entire playground, along with opportunities for outdoor learning, safety and security enhancements throughout the building, reimagine the media center, renovate the 1950s restrooms to modern restrooms, create enhanced learning spaces to support instruction and returning for all students, allow for adaptable classrooms that flex with adjacent spaces, have modern classroom wing built to support the relocated classroom spaces, and infrastructure upgrades to maintain taxpayer-owned facilities. This includes the list you see on the right of physical plant, for example, roof, soffits, louvers, exterior doors, windows, lighting, toilet rooms, furniture and fixtures, flooring, walls, ceilings, paging systems, security and access, network cabling and devices, air handling units, boilers, new LED lighting, fire alarm upgrades, and site work that includes parking and drive reconstruction, sidewalk repairs, signage, and updates to make the building more safe and accessible. So the future Mill Creek. Mill Creek was built and opened in 1995 as a 7th and 8th grade middle school. When the entire plan through 2033 that is included in the bond proposal works through its steps, eventually the 5th and 6th grade students would be at Mill Creek, housed on the same campus with their K-4 counterparts. The renovations to Mill Creek would include reimagining the media center, which was built and opened in 1995 in a different era of how schools functioned. Create a more welcoming entry to the building. If anybody's walked through that canopy, you know exactly what we're talking about. Renovate restrooms to be modernized past the 1995 models. And reimagining the art and creative laboratory spaces so that it fits for 5th and 6th graders, along with classroom updates. So the renovations of Mill Creek to house 5th and 6th graders would include safety and security enhancements, reimagining the art and creative laboratory spaces to support age-appropriate modern learning spaces, reimagining the media center that was designed in 1995 to better support current programming, create a more welcoming entry and meeting space that's accessible and visible, renovate the restrooms to be more modern, and infrastructure upgrades to maintain taxpayer-owned facilities. A list of all the items that would be included is in the chart on the right, ranging from roofs to exterior doors to interior doors to flooring to windows, reconstructing a playground for the building, parking and drive, updates, sidewalk replacements, etc. The future Creekside to house 7th and 8th grade students. The analysis of the building in terms of expected life and repairs that are needed included what totaled out to over $37 million in updates just to make the building look exactly as it does now. For $45 million, the committee has chosen to bring forward the proposal that would build a new 2-story classroom wing and tear down part of the old building, maintaining the admin spaces at the front, the gym, the multi-purpose space that's currently the cafeteria, and the wing going down the side of the parking lot between Al Ritt Stadium and the building that used to be used when it was the high school for wood shop and auto shop, etc. That would then be repurposed, one of the spaces, to house our robotics team, which just finished 11th in the world, and some of our other student programming. Meanwhile, building a modern 2-story classroom wing with a new 300 to 400 seat theater. Here is a conceptual rendering of the new Creekside renovations, including the auditorium, windows to the gym for lighting, a new entrance, warm and friendly entrance to the building, and the rendering included basically taking the Mill Creek setup just for the rendering purposes and putting it on the back of the building to show how a 2-story middle school would fit. A full design would be conducted after a vote where we would pay for architects to work with community members and staff to figure and plan an entire renovation to house the 7th and 8th grade middle school at Creekside. The Creekside renovations would include safety and security enhancements and adding a 2-story modern classroom wing with learning commons, building a new 300 to 400 seat auditorium for school and community use, renovating the existing wing for new administrative offices, new career and technical education opportunities for kids, robotics and community use, and creating opportunities for outdoor learning, while also infrastructure upgrades to maintain taxpayer-owned facilities. If you look at the list on the right, you can see the items that would be included for infrastructure. Several of them are addressed with the new building in addition. Dexter High School opened in 2002, and by 2033, when this bond plan is finalized, will be 30 years old. The proposal includes several updates to the building. First off, a new secure entrance into the building instead of the entrance where visitors now walk through the front doors and enter a long hallway before they can get to the classroom wing. An actual secure lobby like we have at every other building. A lobby that goes into the gym so that events at the gym can be funneled into the gym instead of the rest of the building. Relocation of the weight and fitness center or space to be able to service our students for our current and future needs. We currently have 350 students per day on A days and another 350 students on B days that utilize our weight room, which is the small purple box up in the top of the gym on the left. The space is spilled out onto the track and needs additional space. We would also renovate that purple space so that we can accommodate more of our student groups. On the back of the building, we currently offer building trades, wood shop, etc., and we need space for those courses. So we would do an addition of career tech space on the back of the building along with art and music and drama storage. And then the building is close to 25 to 30 years old and is in need of new carpet, new flooring. The partition walls need replacement. We have some windows that need replacement throughout the building, along with collaborative space. When the building was built, every student had a locker. Currently, we have 7 lockers being used by our students because they prefer to carry their materials with them. And with the use of technology and the changes on books are published, students no longer have to carry around 1 or 2 giant books for every class and keep them in lockers. So we could create other collaborative spaces because lockers are no longer necessary in a modern high school. This is a rendering of what the front of the building renovations could look like to be able to give a conceptual idea to voters of what the building could look like based on the proposal. At the high school, we would do safety and security enhancements throughout the building, reimagine career and technical education areas into an industry-relevant fabrication space, reimagine science and art spaces to align with future programming. Our science and art spaces were designed in the 90s and opened up in 2002 before the technology that's available and in a different era of how kids learn and how we teach. So the lab spaces are antiquated and do need redesign. Create collaborative commons at classroom pods to support group work and teacher collaboration. Renovations to the gym to support sports-specific needs, add weight and fitness space and resources, and relocate the athletic administrative offices to be able to re-renovate that front entrance for security. In total, the building would have roof work, exterior doors, windows, lighting, entry enhancement. We would renovate the restrooms, new furniture and fixtures, walls, ceilings, casework, marker boards and tack boards, window treatments, interior doors, lock replacements, paging systems, security and access control, AV and classroom devices, networking cable and devices. That technology is now nearly 30 years old. Air handling units and systems, provide new LED lighting, fire alarm upgrades, replace plumbing fixtures as necessary, parking and drive reconstruction and repair, sidewalk replacement, and parking and roadway improvements. In addition, at the high school, we would enhance the facade and main entry to the gymnasium to create a more welcoming and secure visitor experience while allowing for better spectator management at all of our events. We would develop cohesive outdoor athletic amenities throughout the new Gateway Plaza and bleachers at both the high school and other athletic facilities to enhance the spectator experience. Remodel and modernize all of our classrooms and restrooms, and infrastructure upgrades to maintain taxpayer-owned facilities. For more information, we have held several community forums continuing through today, April 24th, which were not on this slide, but we've continued to hold forums. We also have comprehensive information on our website, along with an extensive FAQ and a chance to ask additional questions. Thank you for your time and your continued support of Dexter Community Schools, and go Dreads.